Welcome back to News Tonight. Time for an update on all the sporting action with my colleague Natasha Doraiswamy.
Well, Evelyn, it is all about sports tonight, especially with the cricket going around the world, really, with India, Australia coming up in their last and final ODI match. Of course, we will bring you the latest. Well, the threat of rain playing spoil sport really reduced considerably with the sun coming out brightly in Goa, raising hopes of the third and final ODI between India and Australia. Unseasonal downpour, which lashed this Goan town last evening till past midnight, and then in the morning had cast a doubt over tomorrow's match. But with the sun shining brightly in the afternoon, a keen contest between bat and ball seems to be on the card. The ground staff worked hard once the rain stopped to remove the waters from the covers that were spread over 90% of the ground. The organizers are hoping for a rain Well, ever wondered if there was a way out of feeling uncomfortable at the very thought of diving into a pool as a woman, or maybe ridding yourself of those underlying fears of the water as a youngster? Well, with patience and perseverance like that of Naveen Doraiswamy's 16 years as lady coach can make all the difference.
It all began way back in the 70s. A lady who bagged medals at state level is now someone who believes strongly in safety first, building that stamina and spreading the feel-good factor that swimming brings with it. Naveen kick-started her career as Chennai's only lady coach in 1993, and today, be it expatriates, grandmoms, toddlers or women who just want to knock off that extra cellulite, she trains them all.
One person handling both mother and children, so to say, has been an advantage, at least in my case, where I also learned swimming along with him. So it kind of eased, the trauma of getting into the pool the first time for the kid.
It was very tough in the beginning. Initially, I overcame them. When I moved out on my own and people started to respect what I was doing. I get all kinds of women who are in conservative families, especially women who are in burqa and who aren't allowed to go to a male coach.
It's all laid out on a platter. Truly, it can't get more accessible. You've got options to train at the privacy of your backyard pool or at a resort and at a hotel too. Moreover, it's therapeutic, the perfect fitness regime and a secret mantra for several ailments. A 15-day course with Naveen serves all these purposes with a focus on only women and children.
1 hour swimming is equal to 2 hours exercise outside.
That being said, Naveen and I took no more time. Being Naveen, the one who loves to spread the joy of swimming, she has been gracious enough to teach me a couple of tips for the day. So here I am out to test the waters right now. Diving away in Chennai, Evelyn Matthew for NDTV Hindu.
Well, that's a big solution to rid yourself of all those water fears, really. Now, the NBA League in basketball is undoubtedly one of the most popular sporting events in the United States and European countries. The association, which is now in the nation, has spotted great talent for the game in India and has been training players for next month's Asian Games. Our sports reporter Sudarshan took a dribble at the courts and scooped out how the trainers see the future of sport in India.
Indian basketball teams are training in Chennai for the Asian Games in China next month. These players are lucky as they are guided by the world's finest coaches drafted straight from the NBA. The players say it's an entirely new experience.
It's too much. Actually, he's a defensive coach. And we are not playing defense like all other teams from outside of India or European something. It's a word and from some coaches that offense win the match and defense win the championship.
Basketball is not popular in India, but these coaches have forecast a great future for the game in the country. It just needs one role model like China's Yao Ming, who changed the face of the game in China. NBA coach Bill Harris says Indian players just need to know the right way to go about it.
India is in its infancy. It is not where most international teams or countries are. So my first reaction was a little bit of shock, like, boy, I didn't know they didn't know how to call a screen or hedge a screen, so which is a pretty basic skill.
I think most of the areas is defensively. The girls are pretty good offensively. They just need a little bit more structure. Defensively, just concepts. We call it denying the ball. When shooters are there, getting up so they don't get open shots, boxing out, rebounding, kind of putting it all together.
But the coaches say they don't hope for a miracle performance by the Indians in China next month. They say it will take at least 7 years for India to win recognition in the world basketball circuit. In Chennai with reporter Sudarshan, Kuku Alex for NDTV Hindu.
And the head coaches themselves, Bill Harris and Tamika, joined me in our studios and spoke about how India lacks the infrastructure to give a boost to the sport. Well, today we have with us the head coaches of the men's and women's team for basketball going ahead to the Asian Games, really. Tamika and Williams Harris, more well known as Bill Harris. Thank you so much for joining us today. So really, what was your first reaction when you were asked to come down here to India and start from scratch to train all the youngsters here?
Well, one, I was surprised. I didn't know that India was moving in that direction, but once I was contacted, pursued it, and now I'm here.
All right. What about you, Tamika? Really, what do you think is the most difficult aspect that you'll have to face here in India?
I think the most difficult one is we come from a country who is very versed. We are very good at the sport of basketball. So here's just bringing the overall, the agility, the conditioning, the offense, the defense, everything that we know, and he knows a lot more than I do, to a team within 2 months before they play in the great game of the Asian Games. And I think that's probably the hardest thing to do, is bring all the knowledge we have and put it into 2 months.
Now, the NBA, obviously, all over the world, it's looked up to on a whole different level in terms of a sport by itself, individually. Now, all the youngsters watching these matches, really, they have that adrenaline rush. But far more than that, what else do they really need? Tamika, go for this one.
I would have to say just the training, everything I just talked about. Like you said, in America, our kids have a lot of strength training. If you look at an 18-year-old here and an 18-year-old man or woman in India, there's a huge difference of maturity, conditioning, the ability to read the game, to know plays. Players we coach have 20, 30, 40, 50, up to 200 plays a year.
What about you, Bill? Really, when everybody knows that when you play an offensive match, offensive game, really, you win the match. But if you play defensive, you possibly will win the championship. So what are the qualities that you might identify in the Indian game of basketball in comparison to the NBA?
Well, one is defense is going to be the same throughout the world. You said it correctly. I mean, to win championships, you've got to be good defensively. The difference here is the players are not nearly as disciplined. They're not nearly as motivated, because defense is a lot of work. It's not enjoyable. You don't read about it in the newspapers. You don't talk about it on television usually. But it is something that is just hard work, technique, involves a lot of pain. And most of the kids in the United States who are going to elevate themselves to a higher level know that they must pay that price. I've not seen in India necessarily as much of a motivation to do the painful things that are required to be excellent.
On that note, we will end this discussion. Thank you so much, Bill and Tamika, for joining us today. It's been fantastic having you in the studio, and let's hope for a whole lot more growth, really, for the game of basketball here in India. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So those were the big basketball coach for the men's and women's teams, really. Now they seem to think that we do have a long way to go for this sport. Well, that's it from the sports desk and the news desk. Thanks for watching.